You are now locked in and listening to The Issue.
This guy is a franchise quarterback, and no, I don't want to hear any pushback on that.
It feels like a top 10 roster to me. It feels like it can win a championship.
This is The Issue.
Yo, what's up? We are back. It is The Issue. It is Thursday, September 12th, and we are now into week 2 of the NFL season. Tons on the docket today, just like last week. The shows are going to be significantly more packed than they have been all off-season, and it's going to be a solid one today. So after all the action, after everything has kind of boiled down and, came to somewhat of a steady pace where we can look back and talk about things, this is how it's going to look. We're going to start with Tim's rant, and it's actually not going to be on the NFL. It's going to be on Shedeur Sanders and college football, but more specifically Colorado and what's transpiring there. Then we are going to get into hits and misses in its usual spot, back from a week hiatus. And then we will get into a little bit of an interview with Keane Cropp, review week 1, go over some hot takes. I know Tim was excited to watch Caleb Williams, and then it didn't completely pan out how you thought it would, at least for week 1, so we're going to discuss that a little bit, and then finishing the show in the second segment there with predictions for week 2 and bets on a budget for week 2, and that's what it's going to look like here on September 12th.
You didn't give us where we could find us and everything.
Oh, I thought we were going to jump back to you for a second. Usually you have something to say.
Oh, right no. I'm going to save it for my rant.
Okay. Yeah, you came in steaming today, so it should be a solid one. But
should
guys,
be a good
one. No matter how you found us, whether you're watching or listening, watching on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Prime Video, listening on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and the iHeartRadio app, we appreciate you, and thanks for coming.
Now, what I would have said right there, but I said I'm going to save it for my rant because it's going to parlay beautifully into this is the first time in my life I'd rather watch college football than pro football. I was pretty disappointed with the product week 1. I didn't find it particularly interesting. I thought there are some massive issues for the NFL, but that's besides the point. They're going to keep growing exponentially just because of how popular football is. So that's besides the point. I know I'm a minority there, but I thought the product was damn near unwatchable. But college football is absolutely... it's transitioning to being my favorite brand of football, my favorite sport, if you want to consider it a different sport. And I think the 12-team playoff has absolutely done that, and the conference realignment has done that. There are more big games. There are more big stars. I like the fact that players are getting paid. You know who they are sooner. There are more stars in college football. There's more interest in college football than there ever has been. Again, 12-team playoff, the realignment, it has been fantastic, and we're only, 3 weeks into the season? There's really only one negative thing I have to say about college football, and that's been what's happening in Colorado with Deion Sanders, Shedeur, and everybody basically with that program. I came out and said this basically right when he got hired, and there was a lot of noise. He was interesting. It was good content. I enjoyed watching some of his speeches and his motivation, and then it turned into something very weird after they beat TCU, right? Where you're like, okay, it is TCU, right? I know they just went to a national championship, but they lost their quarterback, their offensive coordinator. They lost a ton of pieces. And that wasn't the same TCU team, and you beat them. Okay, so what? You won 4 games the rest of the year, right? It was not good. It took you, overtime or double overtime to beat Colorado State last year? You guys weren't a good football team. And it turned into something where it's not motivation anymore. It was more putting others down to try to lift themselves up. And it's really weird because Deion kind of preaches against that, even though he does it on a daily basis, right? On a daily basis, he's putting somebody down, and you can see it, right? People are like, that's not true. What does his son do? Huh? Do we think a father has a reasonable impact on a son? I would argue yes. If you argue no, you're just an idiot. So clearly, a father has an impact on a son, and what does Shedeur Sanders do after the loss to Nebraska? He gets up to that makeshift podium. It's a folding chair in a tunnel, whatever. And he says, some reporter asks, blah, 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 his thoughts about the game. I don't even know the question, but then he goes, well, how many times did Dylan Raiola get touched? We couldn't run the football. And we didn't play, our play calls weren't good enough. Blame. And you go to the comments and all these jabronis that they just don't get it. They don't get it. well, what's he supposed to do? He's right. He's spitting facts. Doesn't matter what the facts are. Doesn't matter what the facts are. What does Patrick Mahomes do when Kadarius Toney can't catch a football? Well, of course, they cut him now, but last year. Yeah, hey, we're going to keep going back to him. He's our guy. We believe in him. He's way more talented than that. Just let a couple get away from him. Part of that is my bad. I got to throw him a better football. It's got to be on. It's going to be on time better. All these things. Me. Team. It's my fault. My fault. The team can do better. Well, we can all work together to make this better. Shedeur Sanders. I'm good. Everybody else has to be better. Everybody else has to be better. I'm the only thing that's good on this football team. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Dion, I'll never put somebody down. Shedeur Sanders, we're all about us over here. Yeah, no, clearly you're all about you. And you're all about tearing other people down. And the fact that the other people in this instance are your own teammates is unbelievable to me. If I am an NFL GM, and granted, I'm not Nick Wright, Colin Cowherd, where they'll say, if I'm an NFL GM, I wouldn't draft him. What that actually means, let me translate that for you, is I texted 11 GMs that are in my phone, and 10 of them said that they wouldn't draft him. It's not, don't get me wrong, they may also think that, and that is confirming their thoughts. But when they say something like that, let me just give you a little piece of inside information. That means I texted somebody, and they also agree with me. That's why I threw the if I was a GM thing in there, right? If Colin believed it, he'd just say, I believe he's undraftable. But then he'll text about 11 GMs, and they'll be like, oh yeah, we wouldn't draft him. So that's not the case here because I don't have a single GM in my phone. But if I was an NFL GM, to me, he's not a draftable player. I don't think he's a first-round quarterback talent, just from a pure talent standpoint. I don't think he's a first-round pick. I have him slotted as a third-round pick right now. I don't think he's a first-round pick. But then he pulls this charade. To me, he's now probably a 6th, 7th, or undraftable player from the quarterback position, which is a damn shame because he's got talent. I know I don't think he's a first-round talent, but he has some talent. He's a good player in college football. But to me, he just basically talked his way out of being a top 10 pick. As of right now, we still have time where he can kind of talk himself back into that mix. But I'm wildly disappointed in a program and in a head coach primarily, because yes, I blame Shedeur, but he was raised like this. He was raised like this. This program was put together like this. I'm ashamed to see somebody that is supposed to hold people to a higher standard, is supposed to help people, right? Is supposed to change young kids' lives. To have to foster this type of hostility, this type of malice in a program, and to have it come from the leader of your program, the quarterback of your program, your son, coming directly from the head coach, is just, it's sad. It's not a good look for Colorado. To me, that's just one of many reasons. I don't think they're even a 500 football team this year. Colorado's not a good team. It's not a good program. Dion's not a good coach, and Shedeur's not a good quarterback.
Yeah, and you say it a lot, actually, the importance of being able to speak at the podium, the importance of all the other aspects of being a quarterback outside of just playing quarterback. And how many, we did it a couple weeks ago, and I asked you questions as if you were an NFL coach, and you were giving answers.
That was when Saleh and Aaron Rodgers kept going back and forth at the podium, and none of them could just go up there and say, hey, we're all pros here, like, we're going to practice hard, we're going to play hard, we'll figure it out later.
It goes back to that. Just being able to communicate. I mean, the NFL is a gigantic business. College football is a gigantic business. You have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to conduct yourself in a professional way, especially if you want to get to the NFL.
So this goes back to, I just already mentioned Colin, but he has that whole backwards hat skit.
Yeah.
Right, which part of it's facetious, but part of it is there's underlying meaning in that, right? Like, he says it all the time. When you go to the podium and you have, First America Bank or whatever the sponsor is behind you, like, it means something, right? It means something more than just, I'm pissed off that we lost, or I'm happy that we won. It means something more to that program, those sponsors. Everybody that signed your paycheck, it means more when you just go up there and you're Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
I've defended Dak for years. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback, but I'd pay him, not like he is right now, getting $60 million, new contract, by the way, we'll talk about that in a second. I would pay Dak as a top 10 quarterback because of what he does at the podium, right? Because he just goes up there, hey, I wasn't good enough today. Everybody else played well. I wasn't good enough. Or on the flip side, man, what a team win. Everybody did. The guys up front, started with the guys up front. They gave me a lot of time to throw, and CD's obviously super. That's what you want at the podium.
Yeah.
Not this garbage from Shedeur.
Especially when you are the face of the multi-million-dollar brand that you're wearing on your hat, and that logo on your hat reflects everybody in that organization.
Not to mention almost every star quarterback now has some sort of affiliation with Nike or Under Armour. You got to represent yourself better. But,
exactly. Now, I will say this, just one quick thing. If I'm with the sponsors if we were going to sponsor like a post-game presser, if you could guarantee me that it would go off the rails like that and that I could get Shedeur saying something idiotic like that,
I'd sponsor it.
Put me on it, because that clip's going to play a million times.
Yeah,
I want my logo behind it.
I wouldn't be like a season-long sponsor.
No, not from the business perspective, though, of I'm the guy that,
if I'm already
a
billion
on the hat.
Right.
Like, if you're a part of my organization, I don't want you doing that. But if I'm a sponsor looking for clicks and, my brand to get out there, I'm going with him.
Might be the worst thing.
All right, guys, we got hits and misses here. Let's go.
All right, number one here. The Cleveland Browns in general. There's two, I guess three main takes I've had on the Browns. One being the defense is a little overrated. Like, it's good, but it's a little overrated. It's a little overrated. I'd say I still think it's top 10. I know they didn't look great. I still think it's top 10. But it's not. It's not. People think it's like the best defense in football, or like the second or third best. Probably not even top 5. I'd say probably 8, 9, 10, somewhere in that range.
Towards the bottom.
You could argue 11, 12, 13, somewhere between 8 and 13.
More specifically, though, Myles Garrett is insanely overrated.
Very overrated. I think he's a good player, but I think his actual impact on winning on a good defense is overrated. Like, TJ Watt is a game wrecker. Myles Garrett is just a good pass rusher.
I mean, just watch the game. We watched all of the Pittsburgh game, and we watched all of the Cleveland game on our separate standalone TV apart from Red Zone. We saw virtually every snap of both of those games.
Correct.
There was not at one moment in the Cleveland game where I thought that Myles Garrett was even impacting the game in a slight manner.
I couldn't agree more. So, obviously those two things. And then finally the third would be Deshaun Watson. You cannot take that much time off of NFL football and come back and still be a viable player.
You can't have 23 allegations of sexual assault and be okay.
And there's not a lot confirmed right now, so I'm not going to speak on it, but he has another lawsuit that just dropped on Monday.
And this one's bigger than the last ones.
That's evidently. I don't know a ton on it, so I don't want to speak a ton on it, but the Browns in general, 3 different hits there, all in one. Miss number 1 here, my guy, the highly coveted, the soon-to-be top 5 NFL quarterback, Caleb Williams, didn't look great in his NFL debut. I thought he would look a lot better, but I will tell you what, the way he rallied his troops and led his team to victory. I mean, okay, but I will say, they did win. He didn't lose them the football game.
No.
It could have went worse, but yeah, no, definitely a miss in terms of I thought he would look a lot better. I don't like the Titans defense that much, so I thought he would look a little bit better, but still early yet. Didn't lose the game, didn't lose confidence. They are 1-0, and at the end of the day, the NFL got to be 1-0, and they are 1-0.
Now, I'm going to say something, and it's going to make you, question it for a second, because I've been very anti-Caleb Williams, and what I'm about to say is more along the lines of agreeing with what your take has been on him. You can see it. It's there.
Yes.
When the way he moves the pocket, the way he gets around, the way he extends the play, and you can tell he has the athleticism, the arm slot to do it. It's just a matter of it all falling into place. So, did he look good in week 1? No. He didn't look bad, but he didn't look like standout either. But you can see the special in there.
I'm interested because I'm gonna ask Keane about this. I'm interested to see what he's gonna say. I have a feeling that I know, but we're gonna see what he says about it. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Hit number 2 here, Lamar Jackson. I've been a defender of Lamar Jackson now for probably about 2 to 3 years. At first, I was like, okay, I don't really see it, and then I was like, okay, I kind of see it, and then everybody kind of pivoted on him and was like, he's not very good. I'm like, no, he's still fantastic. He's still an MVP. But my one knock has been, at the end of the day, no matter what, no matter how talented you are outside of the pocket, no matter how good you are extending the plays, you have to win from the pocket. And that's my concern with Caleb. If there is one concern, is the consistency within the pocket. right? Even Kirk Cousins is a pocket quarterback. His footwork was all out of whack, could not complete passes from the pocket. You're going to struggle, right? So Lamar just seemingly cannot deliver in those big games, those big gotta-have-it downs, those big third downs where everybody knows he's throwing. That's been his problem. I like Lamar. I think he's fantastic. I think he's dynamic. I think he wins, 70-something% of his games. It even goes up to like 80 whenever it's somebody not named Patrick Mahomes.
85% without Patrick.
When it's not named Patrick Mahomes. So he's a fantastic quarterback. I'm still a fan. But at some point, he has to deliver. Right? At some point, you have to deliver in the big moments, primarily from the pocket, and he is not.
And that's the thing. Like, if you want to win a championship, you're going to have to beat that Patrick Mahomes, though. Like, there's no way to get there without doing it.
No way around him. No way. You're going to have to beat him, Burrow, and Josh Allen, all of who I think are better than him. So.
Justin Fields.
I mean, once he gets to the Super Bowl, he'll have to beat Caleb Williams. But that's beside the point.
Yeah.
Miss number 2 here. Dallas Cowboys. I on two fronts. I guess on one front for a miss here, I had them starting 2-9. I had them not being very good. This was a coin flip game. This is one of the easier games in their next, in their next 10. I didn't think they looked that good. I did not think that they would look that good. But then also a miss, I didn't think that they would re-sign Dak before the season. And I sure shit didn't think it was going to be the morning of the first NFL game.
Which is that's so stupid.
That's just a poorly run business. But little phantom hit here. What did I tell you he was going to get?
$60 million.
Regardless of what he deserves, what we think he could get,
you said
what we would pay him, should pay him, he's going to get $60 or $65 million.
Yeah, you said that multiple times.
And he got $60 million.
Now, I just don't get it from Dallas's perspective. Oh, he's on a prove-it deal this year. He has to show us that... And then you pay him the first week before there's even a snap taken?
Jerry caved. He caved. Because he knows that if Dak makes it out of this season and he is a free agent at the end of the year, again, because he is aware of the market, just like I am aware of the market, somebody is going to, it's not if or who, or somebody is going to pay him above $60 million to be their quarterback.
Which also means that they thought that there was nobody that they could get that's better than Dak either, though. Because if you truly believed in your scouting department and your GM to go out and get those guys and go restructure stuff and move stuff around and go get a new quarterback,
who are you gonna
then you would have done that.
Who are you going to get? Like Sam Darnold is on a 1-year deal, but maybe him.
I don't know.
Jacoby Brissett. Who are you going to get? Like, Sam Howell?
If your goal is to win,
what are the backups that are out there?
If your goal is to win a Super Bowl, though,
Jameis Winston,
you're not doing it with Dak.
No, you're right, but I also would argue that you're not going to do it with any of these other replacement guys either. Well, they're not, but they're cheaper.
Yeah, but you're not doing it with Dak at $60 million.
I would agree. I think they have two options. You'd either have to bottom out or just keep paying Dak, and they just decided to keep paying Dak.
Yeah.
Hit number 3 here. How about them Cornhuskers, baby? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I know I talked a little bit about the flip side of that game with Colorado and their tomfoolery, we'll call it, for lack of a more PG term. But on the flip side of it, Nebraska was my dark horse team to make the college football playoff.
Yeah.
The new expanded 12-team college football playoff, that is. They were my dark horse pick. Their schedule's not that difficult. That was one of their tougher, at least early games. They end up playing, I think it's Ohio State, maybe Penn State down the road. Those obviously will be tests, and they may lose those games. But they have a real chance to be like 8 or 9-0 heading into Ohio State.
Yeah.
Like there's a real chance that they're a top 10 football team going to Ohio State. And by then, there's a chance that Dylan Raiola may be a top 5 quarterback in college football. He's already good, and he's a freshman. He's a true freshman. He's only going to keep getting better. He's a sponge. He's soaking it all up. I'm telling you what, the Cornhuskers, baby. I never thought I'd be a Nebraska fan.
Now, here's the thing, though. I think they might be slowly getting up there for one of my new favorite college teams just because of their social media department. Do you follow them on Instagram?
Hilarious. Amazing. Dude, they're fantastic.
They won, and the graphic that they posted from an actual college and university was, "You just got husked."
That's amazing.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
And did you see Colorado posted that clip of Shedeur throwing the ball, and it's like there's a clear cut.
Yeah.
And it's like darts only.
Yeah.
And people were making fun of it. They also posted like one of those darts only. Just fantastic. I like Matt Rule a lot too. Miss number 3 here. When Baker Mayfield was in Cleveland, it's not that I didn't like Baker, but I just didn't think he was a number one overall talent. I didn't think he was a first overall pick, and I didn't think he was, hey, we're going to go to the playoffs, win a bunch of games, and win a Super Bowl. I thought the hype was too high.
Well, plus, he had a lot of off the field issues too.
Correct, but I always stayed consistent. Baker Mayfield is a starting quarterback in this league. He's not my starting quarterback, but he's a starting quarterback in this league. And I'll tell you what, 4 touchdowns on opening weekend. He
outplayed 90% of all the quarterbacks.
There's an argument that he is playing his way back into the conversation to be in that tier from like 8 to 12, right? Like there's that tier of like Dak, Kirk when he plays well. Jared Goff is in that. He's playing himself into that tier of quarterbacks.
And he's matured a lot.
Absolutely.
He's come a long way. And I don't know if you saw it, but there's a clip of him on the sideline hyping up his offensive line, going around. Dude, they are thrilled to play for that guy. They are thrilled.
I used to find him very easy to root against. I don't think there's anybody else I've done a 180 on. I find him so easy to root for.
If you want the evidence,
I find him so easy to root for.
Go back into our videos and just scroll down about a year and a half ago, and you're going to find probably about 6 to 7 Tim's rants in a row just ripping Baker Mayfield to shreds. And I agreed with every single thing that he said, and I now agree with everything you say.
Exactly. But to be fair, it's like new information. He's been playing a lot better. Like, he's better in Tampa than he was in Cleveland.
And he's not calling out the medical staff.
Exactly.
And, he's mature.
He's a more mature person.
Absolutely.
I agree.
There's hits and misses.
But that is hits and misses. Let's go ahead and transition. Like I said, Keane Cropp. What is it? Last Stop Sports Talk.
Yes, the last.
I probably messed that up about 1,000 times, but let's go ahead and get to Keane.
All right, we got Keane Cropp with us. He's been on the show before, good friend of the show, and we thought what better time to bring him on now. We got NFL seasons back in full swing. Keane, did you enjoy week 1?
Oh, man, week 1 is always a blast. We were talking a little bit right before the show here that quarterback play is kind of down, that some of the games were blowouts, but I mean, NFL's back. It doesn't get any better than that. Best time of the year by far, I've got to say.
So your guy, my guy's Caleb Williams. Yeah. Not a great weekend for me, but we'll get there. His guy, C.J. Stroud, we'll get to him in a second.
That was a good one.
Your guy is Anthony Richardson. So I saw a couple throws I really liked, right? The off balance, 60 yards down the field. There was one across the middle that went for a touchdown. I forget the guy's name that caught it, but that was on a frozen.
Doolin.
Yes, that guy. The ball was on a rope. What do you see? But then also he missed a lot of throws. I think there was 2 or 3 touchdowns, flat out touchdowns that he left on the board. Both of them to Adonai Mitchell, the rookie. Do you think he's going to iron that out? Where do you see him falling in terms of, let's say, do we think he's a top 10 quarterback this year?
I do think he's a top 10 quarterback this year. We'll start that right off the bat. Just tools. I've said this to you over text, just talking about this, and that's how we kind of got to this debate. But just coming down to the tools, he has all the best tools in the league, the best just altogether, the toolbox that he has, God-given abilities are the best. So he's got built like a Mack truck, built like Cam Newton was back in the day. Dude, 4.3 40-yard dash, and he's got a cannon that everybody is finally that he can put to use. Now, just like you said, he's not the most accurate guy all the time, and there are still things to iron out because he's still young. He's the youngest starting quarterback in the league right now. The dude is still 2 years old. In his second year, he's 22 years old. So what we're kind of seeing right now is he's still figuring out how to go through progressions, how to just be accurate, and how to just be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Because in college, back at Florida, he could just rely on that athleticism and just plow through guys. And now we saw year 1. If you do that, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get your shoulders destroyed, which is what he did first year. Now he comes back. Yeah, he plowed into the end zone for that 1 touchdown, and he seemed fine, obviously, coming out of that. But he was, I'd say, just like you said, very inconsistent, but finally people are seeing the potential. And if he could just put it all together, like throughout this season, I think we're going to easily see that everybody's going to be on board with me. He is a top 10 quarterback. Because one more thing about his coach, Shane Steichen.
Stud.
He's the guy, going back to his Philly days, he was the OC there. He made Jalen Hurts look like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He leaves Philly, comes to Indianapolis. We see what Jalen Hurts is without Shane Steichen. He's got hit or miss, just like Anthony Richardson, just without all the tools. without as great of tools. But I think that if Shane Steichen can make it work with Jalen Hurts, then I am so excited to see what the future is with the Shane Steichen and Anthony Richardson duo.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I think one of my biggest concerns is he's got like 18 starts now since high school. So like that's a concern. But you're right. He is probably the most physically gifted. So to flip on the other side of that same game, I know you were locked in on that game because you're an Anthony Richardson guy. Luke's a C.J. Stroud guy. Obviously looked fantastic. Connected with Stephon Diggs, pretty much right away. Nico Collins is a stud. I I didn't think he'd be this good this quickly. Is he already a top five quarterback? Like, is he getting to top five level? I know the accomplishments aren't there, but I mean accuracy, pre-snap, ability to extend the play. Like, is he already getting close to the number five spot in terms of a top five quarterback?
I think you got to put him close to there. I mean, I feel like whenever I'm watching CJ, what the word that comes to mind is just clean. This guy is just he does everything right. He does everything that you want a quarterback to do. Like, no, he's not like physically gifted, but this guy, you can tell the football IQ is there. He knows where his receivers are. He knows where they need to be. He knows where he needs to be. He knows where the rushes are coming from. This guy, second year in the league, already so young, he just knows how to play an NFL game and execute everything perfectly. So yeah, he just watching him versus Anthony Richardson, you could see like, this is where Anthony Richardson improve. Like watching this guy is already in his second year a good pro. CJ Stroud we're talking about, but like, and then this Texans team. So just watching them and watching what they did over the offseason and watching them in week one. So what they remind me of, they are like the AFC Lions, just D'Amico Ryans,
Oh,
then Bobby Slowick coming in. Team just all buys in immediately. They hit the ground running like year one. Now the Lions took like a year or like a year and a half to get going,
yeah.
but just to like to bring the whole team together, bring in my guys, bring in D'Amico Ryan's guys, and then just put it all together. Everybody buys in. This team is looking scary, honestly. The Texans could make a very deep run this year.
I think Joe Mixon may be the sneaky addition of the offseason. I think he was fantastic. He was good in Cincinnati as well. But, okay, so your guy, Anthony Richardson, your guy, CJ Stroud, my guy now, Caleb Williams, obviously didn't look great, but he is the first overall pick to win his first game since, like, I don't know, 2002 or something like that. So I know it wasn't pretty. I know there's clearly some things we need to work on. Didn't turn the ball over, right? Held on to it. Threw the ball away a couple times, dirted the ball a couple times. Our concerns were he was trying to make too many big plays. I thought he played almost conservative on the flip side of that because the game didn't demand that once his defense started playing so well. I'm not saying he was great, but I think the debut could have went a lot worse. I know Bo Nix pushed the ball down the field more. Bo Nix also made two of the dumbest passes I saw all weekend, right? So I think it could have been worse. I think I'd rather Caleb's debut than Bo. Bo lost them the game. At least Caleb kept him in the football game. Right? I know that his defense won him the game. The special teams won him the game. But he could have very easily lost that game for them had he been a Bo Nix type, throwing two picks in the red zone or close to it on the one. What did you think about Caleb Williams? What do you think about his outlook going forward? I think, kind of like you with Anthony Richardson, he can be a top 10 quarterback this season. Obviously, that game did not show anything that would prove that. No proof of concept from week one. But that's where I think he could end up. Where do you think he ends up? Where do you think the Bears end up?
I'm personally, I don't know if it could happen this season. I do believe in the potential of Caleb Williams, just like you. But you guys talk about on your show, you talk about that coach quarterback duo. Like what coach do you believe in Chicago? Like I'm not believing in Matt Eberflus personally. He's a defensive head coach, and then they brought it. Who did they even bring in for offensive coordinator? It was Waldron.
Waldron, yeah,
Waldron.
yep.
Yeah, so I'm not believing in that duo personally. And then yesterday, yeah, I guess it could have gone a lot worse, just like you said.
He
And
could
I
have been
do
Will
agree with
Levis.
you. It could have been, yeah, Will Levis. Yeah, he's my fantasy quarterback. We won't get into that. But Caleb Williams, whenever it came down to it, I do like, just like you said, how he didn't, whenever they were down early, he didn't panic. He didn't just go like, okay, I need to be the hero all of a sudden, just like I did in college. I'm not chucking the ball all over the field, throwing interceptions, because the NFL defenses are smarter. Like this is obviously these guys' jobs. All they do is watch film and prepare for these quarterbacks and everything. So what we are seeing now is that maybe Caleb Williams has kind of learned right off the bat without having a super bad game. He's learned that, man, these guys are serious. These defenses are serious. I can't just be the can't be the hero quarterback anymore. Like I just need to reel it in and just do what the defense gives me. And I guess maybe he's going to get more accurate and more risky as we go on. But I feel like I agree with you. For a first game, it could have gone a lot worse. And I guess you'd rather be conservative than just get scared right off the bat by
Sure.
throwing all these
Yeah.
interceptions.
Yeah. No, it definitely wasn't good. It wasn't good. I'm not sitting here being
No,
like, oh,
no,
it was a good
no.
debut, but it could have been worse. Okay. A couple more here. Cincinnati. How often are they going to start slow? This is every year now. And I guess I get it. Look, Higgins sat out a little bit, and Jamar Chase sat out a little bit. So, and Higgins didn't even play week 1. So I get that there's some issues, maybe some continuity problems. But I mean, how many guys on the Patriots would start in Cincinnati? For both sides, out of 22 positions, how many guys from New England start on the Bengals? 6. That's not a game you can lose at home. You just can't lose that football game at home. Is it a slow start for Cincinnati, or is it, well, Joe Mixon's gone and our offensive line's not as good as it was last year, even though it wasn't good last year. It lost a piece. And, our wide receivers have no continuity, and our defense actually is probably a little bit overrated despite having a good DC. Is it a slow start, or is it more of a reality of the 2024 Bengals?
Personally, whenever we did on our podcast, Last Stop Sports Talk, whenever we did our predictions a few weeks ago, I had the Bengals winning the Super Bowl this year. And I still believe that.
Oh, okay.
I still believe that. It's just, we've seen this before. The Bengals start the defense that they keep running back with every single year, these guys are like the same guys. I don't know how they keep bringing them all back. Now, they're not stars. They're not stars you have to pay a ton of money to. But we kind of see, like, if you keep running this back again and again and again, we saw the Buccaneers do it. It's not going to work every single year. We
Right.
saw it get the Bengals to the Super Bowl one year, but it's not going to work every single year. And then if you don't improve the offensive line, like obviously Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. You need to protect him. You need to buy pieces to protect him. Now, they have tried that in recent years, in recent off seasons, but obviously something is not working. So you got to keep hitting it. But again, just like you said, the receiving core, the only continuity he had was Jamar Chase, and Jamar Chase hasn't been there all offseason. So this team is just kind of defense is all the same, nothing new really on that side, and then offense, like everything's new. So like there's no like happy balance coming together here. And then the Bengals, they have never ever really relied on the run game. Like even whenever Mixon was there, they were still a pass happy team. Like Joe Burrow has a ton of pressure on him. Like, okay, Joe, if you're healthy, you are the guy. You got to carry us. And then we see like it's tough to do, man, especially if you don't know what receivers you're going to be thrown to week 1 because Jamar Chase is like, yeah, I might not play. And then he comes out and he plays. Like obviously knows Jamar Chase well, but this team, I don't know what to make of it. I'm not worried about right now though. I knew that I figured that Patriots defense was going to be good because it was an in-house hire with Gerard Mayo. He's been working with this defense for years and years and years. They're just so disciplined. So this wasn't too big of a surprise to me. It was obviously a surprise that the Bengals lost the game, but I figured that the Patriots were going to cover like this and they were going to hold them to low points. But this was kind of outrageous.
Yeah,
Man.
I mean, we had plus 9.5 for New England, which the fact that line was 9.5 is absurd.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to win outright, but I knew it would be close. Okay, one more here. Mm-hmm. What is your? I'll give you mine, and then I want your take on that, and then one of your own. A knee-jerk reaction from week 1 that you actually think is going to follow through. A lot of people are going to come and freak out about, oh, this team's going to suck. That team's going to be really good. Sometimes that's actually right, though. I know everybody's like, oh, it's overreaction Monday. I get it. I have one that I think may actually be true, and it's more of a hot take. Could Doug Peterson be the first coach fired? That would be my hot take, my knee-jerk reaction from week 1. That's an unlosable game. How do you find a way? I mean, how do you find a way to lose that football game in Miami? You cannot continually underperform with a quarterback. He may not be great, but he's physically gifted. You got a ton of talent on offense. You had a first overall pick on defense, right? You have pass rushers. Could he be, if he continues to lose games like this, the first coach fired? I would argue he's in the running for it. We thought maybe what's his face in New Orleans may be it, but they just won by 37, so that's probably out.
You can't count that game. That's against the Panthers.
True. So what would you say is your, kind of knee-jerk reaction? What do you think about mine, and what would you say yours is?
Yours is that's 100% possible. Doug Peterson, if I had to rank the coaches, and we did it on our show a few times, but we didn't go out far enough that I would put Doug Peterson. I don't think Doug Peterson would be in my top 20, honestly, because Doug Peterson, last time he was a winner, what year did he even win the Super Bowl with the Eagles? What was that, 2015?
No, I think it was like a 17 maybe. It was a while ago.
Okay,
yeah. I was Nick Foles, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But ever since he came to the Jaguars, it's like he was coming in after Urban Meyer. So obviously, whoever you bring in there is going to look good after Urban Meyer. You could have thrown me in there, and I could have done more with the offense than Urban Meyer. So, but then after that, obviously, whenever Trevor Lawrence was drafted, he was supposed to be the next great. He was the guy, the prince who was promised. And then we just haven't seen it yet. So who's to blame for that? Obviously, you're going to blame Urban Meyer for year one. He was absolutely terrible. But Doug Peterson after that hasn't done a whole lot better. He's made Trevor Lawrence look, I'd say, about average.
Yeah.
Now,
if I have him as my 14th best quarterback, so I think he's just about league average.
I think that's perfect. Yeah, that'd be perfect. But I think Doug Peterson, if he just refuses to really get Trevor Lawrence too much talent on that offensive side of the ball, and just not, this Jaguars team has gone basically nowhere. They've topped out at just about average. So I think he could definitely be fired first this year.
What would you say your knee-jerk reaction is that you think actually will come true this year, if you have one? After watching week one, you're like, oof.
Man, I think I'm gonna have to go with. Well, obviously, I think Anthony Richardson is gonna be an MVP. He's my guy. I'm not gonna use that one though, but I think this the Bills offense or the Bills team in general is going to. You guys watched the Bills Cardinals game, right?
Yeah.
You watched how the Cardinals took the lead early, and then Josh Allen had to drag the whole offense himself, the whole team basically himself to a win. That's how it's going to look the whole year, in my opinion.
So you're selling your Bills stock.
I never really bought too much of it in general, but I think that Josh Allen, he is talented enough to do this sometimes, but that Cardinals defense is looking like they're going to be one of the worst in the league. And if the Bills can barely scrape by and beat them by 6 points, I think there's going to be trouble whenever they face somebody, even on Thursday. Coming up on Thursday Night Football, they play the Dolphins. I think that's going to be a lot tougher game. Now, obviously, the Dolphins didn't look that great either, but their defense is going to look better than the Cardinals, and Josh Allen is not going to be able to do this all year long. It's going to be it could get scary, in my opinion, for the Bills.
That's interesting. And I'll buy your Buffalo stock. I think they're going to be fine, but you never know. You could be right. Keane, much appreciated you stopping by. You know what? I will buy just a little bit of Anthony Richardson stock just because I was a fan of Cam Newton coming out. He aged quickly, but I was a fan of him early on. So I'll buy a little bit of that stock. But no, I appreciate you stopping by. What's your pod? Last Stop Sports Talk. Is that right?
You got it.
Okay, I messed that up last time. So much appreciated.
Good.
Go check out Last Stop Sports Talk. Keane, much appreciated. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy week 2.
Will do. Welcome back in. Don't even know what day it is, but I know it's Thursday. I believe, 12th, 13th, something
September
along.
12th.
Okay, the 12th. Perfect. Love it. There is football on tonight. We will have the predictions for that and the rest of the week, followed by bets on a budget. So make sure you stick around for that. However you did get here, whether it be YouTube, Spotify, Apple, iHeart, we certainly appreciate it. Again, this is The Issue. Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah. I'm pretty pumped for this one. I'm coming off a little bit of a high this last week.
Worst week of predictions of my life. I don't know if I've ever been blanked like that, but good thing bets were good, so we had something to hang on to there.
I checked back. You've been blanked one other time, and it was the season that you won. It was last year.
Okay, well, that's good.
And it was a 4-0. I think we probably had a tiebreaker somewhere built in. That's back when we were still doing the tiebreakers instead of trying to pick 3s and 5s and odd numbers.
Sure.
But either way, it's happened before. You've recovered before, so
we're gonna find out.
It's a long season.
We're gonna find out.
Either way, guys, we have week 2 of the NFL predictions here. Every pick for every game. Let's get going.
We're actually going to start with a split. I'm taking the Dolphins at home. The Bills, when they've been in Miami, have not performed well, especially early season. Something about that heat. Do you remember when their OC at the time, Ken Dorsey, freaked out in the booth when they lost in Miami, right?
I do remember that.
That is what I think we're going to see. I think Miami, that defense actually proved to be somewhat viable. They got a pass rush last week a little bit, so I'm going to go with the Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm going with the Dolphins. I'm going with the Bills. Yeah. I'm going with the Bills, which is kind of weird because that's kind of split on how we've been on the two teams.
Yeah, I'm higher on the Bills season long, and you're higher on the Dolphins season long.
Yeah, I just don't think the Dolphins, from what I saw in week 1, they just don't have it to beat the Bills right now.
I guess we'll find out. We agree on the next one. The Lions actually hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, both teams coming off a big win. Why do you like the Lions? Do we think, again, what do we think of that game?
I mean, the Lions played their absolute asses off on Sunday Night Football. It looked shaky a little bit here for a little bit of the time, and Goff didn't look great. But, I mean, then again, it's week 1. So, it's going to be bumpy. The entire league didn't look good week 1. So, they'll start to find it, and the Lions are a really good team.
I think they're a great team. I think they're a really good team at home as well, so I'll go with that. Next one, Saints and Cowboys. I know I'm lower on the Cowboys than most, but this is a game from the very beginning I've had circled as a win. I'm not big on the Saints, despite their 37-point win. I'm that low on the Panthers, conversely.
Yeah.
So I would go Cowboys.
Yeah, now looking out here, you're not going to pick the Cowboys many weeks coming up. I mean, this is where
no, I have them losing, I think, like 7 straight.
Yeah, so that should be fun.
Yeah. Colts at the Packers. Remember, the Packers will be starting Malik Willis, Sean Clifford. As of right now, we think it's Malik Willis. And the Colts obviously have Anthony Richardson, so I will go with the Colts to go into Green Bay and get a win.
Yeah, that's an easy one, Colts.
Yeah. Seahawks at the Patriots. I thought for a second about the Patriots. I like the defensive front. I like Gerard Mayo. He showed me something. They had some fight in that week 1, obviously winning, beating the Bengals on the road. And Jacoby Brissett wasn't the worst player I've seen, so that's something. But no, I'm still going to take Seattle.
Yeah, I don't think that's something that they replicate there too often in New England this year.
No. Giants at the Commanders. Giants suck. Commanders, not much better, but they're definitely better.
Yeah. Not much more to say on that. I'll take the Commanders.
Yeah, same idea with the Raiders and the Ravens. The Ravens are a significantly better football team, better quarterback, better coach, etc., etc.
Now, stick around for bets on a budget on this one because, I mean, this is a line that's crazy high, but one that I would probably take.
Yeah, 9.5 as of right now. Chargers at the Panthers. I play this game wherever you want. There's no way the Panthers hang in there. There's no way. No. I play it wherever you want. I don't care it's in Carolina. I will take the Chargers all day long in that football game.
Yep. Right there with you.
The Niners at the Vikings. Second split here. You're going with the Niners. Why is that?
They are a all-around solid football team. Their defense, their offensive weapons, even without McCaffrey. I mean, come on. You still have Debo. You still have Ayuk. You still have Brock Purdy who can get it done with his legs a little bit. We saw that a little bit on Monday night. So, yeah, I'll take the 49ers.
I'm actually going to go with the Vikings. I feel like I get a good quarterback, not a better quarterback, but I get a good quarterback. I get better receivers. I arguably if McCaffrey's out, I get a better run game, I think. So yeah, I'm going Vikings, and they're at home. Let's not forget that Brock Purdy pissed down his leg in that same building last year.
Let's not
forget that.
That's fair.
Browns at the Jags, our third and final split here. I'm going to go with the Jags. Look, this past week I took the better quarterback and got shafted 5 straight. I don't know how that happens, but I'm still not going to go away from that formula. That's what led me to a win last week, and I'm getting Trevor Lawrence, the better quarterback at home in that heat. Teams from up north that go down to Florida tend to struggle in that early season humidity. I will go Jacksonville.
I'm going Browns. There's no way they can be as bad offensively as they were in week 1.
I don't know.
I mean, it is Cleveland. But their defense is the main thing here. Trevor Lawrence hasn't really shown to get anything going thus far in his NFL career. I don't think that changes this week against a pretty good defense.
Jets. Yes, it is. You're right. It's pretty good. Jets at the Titans. I'll take the Jets. I did not like what I saw from Will Levis. Their run game was very hit or miss. The defense was good, but how much of that is Caleb Williams' first game? I think the Jets are a better football team, although I'm down on them over the course of the season.
Yeah, I'll go Jets, but watch it. This is one that I think that it could be an upset. I mean,
You almost took the Titans.
would it be surprising to you if the Jets just absolutely blew up and just shit all over themselves on national television?
The Titans are a scrappy fourth place team. I think they're a fourth place team, but they're scrappy, very similar to Arizona, which is actually our next game. Somehow favored by a point, hosting the Rams. I know the Rams are banged up. They're missing Puka. They lost 2 linemen. DB, that was the most injured I've ever seen a team in one game in my life. They're still a better football team. I texted you, is Matt Stafford, is he a top 5 quarterback? I think so. I mean, that was unbelievable.
Sure, it
was unbelievable on Sunday Night Football. I'll go with the Rams.
Yeah, I'm going Rams as well. There's nothing here that's going to lead me to take Arizona, and the fact that they are favored, go bet the Rams now. Go put the mortgage on it. But don't.
That's bold. But
go put the mortgage on
it. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Bengals at the Chiefs. This one I would put the mortgage on. At Arrowhead, this will probably be game of the week. CBS, which means Romo and Nance will get it.
Oh, yeah.
425. Can't wait for that one. Bengals. At the Chiefs, I'll take the Chiefs.
Yeah, Chiefs. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes do not lose in September. So, outside of last year.
Pretty much. Steelers at the Broncos. I would normally fade the Steelers here. This is totally a spot for them to lose. But Tomlin against rookie quarterbacks has been the spot he has excelled most in his career, and I think that holds true here.
TJ Watt against rookie quarterbacks. I mean, Bo Nix is going to his head is going to be spinning.
He's going to run for his life.
Yes.
Yeah. Chicago at Houston, Sunday Night Football. I'll go Houston.
I am going Houston as well. C.J. Stroud.
Stud.
I mean, just the overall makeup of that team is better than Chicago right now. I mean, I'll hear the argument for Caleb Williams and being special and being good, and I said it earlier.
Right,
but
you're right.
At this very moment, I'll take Houston.
Yeah. Falcons at the Eagles. I'll go Eagles. Primetime Kirk is not somebody that performs well, especially in Philadelphia. That's going to be bad.
No, yeah, that's not where I put my faith. I will go the Eagles as well.
Absolutely not. So you have the Browns, I have the Jags, I have the Vikings, you have the Niners, and I have the Dolphins, you have the Bills.
We got all the makings of a good week 2 there, guys. Go check it out on social media, theissuesports.com. It'll take you anywhere you want to go related to the show. Go check out the Instagram, the TikTok, the Twitter. We appreciate it. But, guys, now we have week 2 bets on a budget. 5 of the best bets from around the NFL that we could find here for the value that we could get them. They're all 5 spreads.
We always take 5 spreads. That's it.
Let's roll.
5 spreads. Last week, 3-1-1 pushed on the 6. Was it the Rams? I think
it was the Rams.
The Rams.
Yep.
No. I'm sorry. We pushed. We lost on the Rams. They were like 3.5. We pushed on Buffalo -6 against Arizona. So we pushed on that. Lost the Detroit bet. Everything else we hit. So let's go ahead and start actually back in Detroit. We're ready to get back on the saddle already in there. Tampa Bay +7 at Detroit. That is just a ton of points. Mm-hmm. That's way too many points for a Tampa Bay team that we just saw perform at a very high level. I know that defense isn't very good in Washington. I don't have a ton of proof of concept that Detroit's is that much better. I think it's good. I think it's a little bit better, but I don't think it's significantly better than Washington. I don't think it's as good as they're clearly getting credit for here. 7 points is way too many points for a team that went into that building last year in the playoffs and hung tight with Detroit. I'll go with Tampa Bay +7.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not 7 points good. I mean, I love Detroit in this game, but I will not take Detroit with the money there.
Nope.
Not at all.
No, to me, it's a Detroit 27-23. Rams +1 at Arizona. Again, obviously, if you're going +1, just take the money line. But again, we pick spreads here. So I will go with the Rams getting a point at Arizona. I have them winning. I do think it is going to be a close game. Arizona, again, just like Tennessee, I think they're a scrappy 4th-place team. They put up a fight in Buffalo.
Yeah.
But I think I get the better quarterback. I get the better coach. I know that they're banged up. Cooper Kupp is back. He caught 14 balls on Sunday Night Football. So I'm going to go with the Rams. I still think it's close. I will go 24-20 Rams over the Cardinals.
The Rams are winning this football game. I mean, I don't care. I'm not even going to pick a score. The Rams are winning. Take the Rams +1 here. I don't know what else is that.
I agree. Next game, we'll head to New York. I get the hook on my side. Washington -2.5 versus the Giants. I can win by a late. We can be beat all game long, come back and have a field goal, last-second field goal, and still win. I just absolutely love the value at -2.5 with Washington, and I just don't What do the Giants do well? My only concern, and you'll know in the first 2 drives, is that pass rush going to get home and affect Washington's young quarterback, Jaden Daniels? If that's the case, it could be rough. I don't foresee that being the case. I still think it's close. I'll go 27-20, but feels a little bit closer, Washington over the Giants.
Even with a nasty pass rush, even if they do start getting to Jaden Daniels, I don't like Daniel Jones more than Jaden Daniels in that spot either. So I'm just taking Washington no matter what.
Yeah, I agree with that. Baltimore -9.5 versus Vegas. We don't normally like to take a ton of these massive spreads. Normally we'd be on the Vegas side or on the underdog because it's just so many points, and you'll see that with the Tampa Bay bet, obviously with the +7. But Baltimore, about once a year, usually somewhat early on in the year, just tail whips somebody. Do you remember when they went to Miami and beat them by, I think it was 63-7 or something like that?
Yeah, they destroyed them.
Just annihilated them. And that happens about once a year where they just make a team look silly. I think that is this week right here. Coming off a tough loss, extra rest, because they were the Thursday night game.
Yeah.
I think they absolutely tail whip Vegas. I think it's going to be a 37-14 game.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Even more lopsided than that, even.
That'd be crazy, but I don't think it's, yeah.
It's Vegas. Come on.
Yeah, it's true. Chicago +6.5 at Houston. Don't love that I don't get the hook on my side here, but primetime unders have been hitting. In games when points are at a premium, there's no way I can give up 6.5 points. And that Chicago defense is legit. I know Will Levis damn near handed you the football, but that defense is legit. The pass rush is real. The secondary is real. Their special teams clearly showed out with the, block punt or something like that. Either way, that team is legit. That defense is legit. I still like Houston to win. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think it's going to be muddied up. I'm going to go with a 20-16 type of game.
Yeah.
Low scoring, muddied. I think CJ just makes one more play than Caleb, but I still like them at +6.5.
Yeah, this game is not going to be a blowout by any sense. It's going to be close. I do like Houston, but like you said, Chicago they have a little bit too much sneaky power just to mess with. I'll take Houston, but it's going to be close, a 3-point game.
Like I said, so and people may push back on that bet, but it's like everybody's sitting here telling me that primetime unders are the way to go. The over-under is 46. You think I'm giving 6.5 in a game like that?
No.
In a 26-20 game, I'm giving 6.5? No.
Not at all.
I can't do it. To run back through them, Tampa +7. The Rams +1. Washington -2.5. Baltimore -9.5. And the dog Chicago Bears +6.5.
There we go. Guys, a lot of good bets on the board this week. A lot of money to be made. So make sure you're going out, putting those bets on your favorite betting apps, the DraftKings, the FanDuels, whatever it may be. But guys, we appreciate it. That's all we have here for you today. So that's the entire show. Tim ran on Shedeur Sanders. We had a little interview there with Keane Cropp talking about some Week 1 action. And then, of course, our predictions on Week 2 and our Week 2 bets on a budget. Guys, thanks for sticking around. We will be back next Thursday, and that was The Issue.